In this way, the drill result is similar to a map. I want to sell it as a whole, with all of the homes, subsurface utilities, and other features. Gold miner Parker Schnabel staked $15 million in one piece of frozen land in the Yukon. His enormous objective was to locate 5,000 ounces of gold. His entire season was on the verge of catastrophe due to his ongoing failure. Then his team made an absolutely amazing and startling finding. However, a nasty twist of fate was waiting to transform their victory into heartache. A $1 million dream. A well-known hockey player's notion was the catalyst for this entire journey. The saying, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," has always stuck in Parker Schnabel's memory. He took the biggest risk of his career because of this straightforward notion. That's why he paid $15 million to purchase Dominion Creek's mining rights. For years there had been rumors that this site included mining claims, equipment, a huge treasure, and other things. He wants $15 million, I guess. We are unable to pay for it. We can't afford it, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. Some speculated that 80,000 ounces of gold, valued at more than $160 million, might be concealed there. However, there was a serious issue. All of that gleaming gold was buried 40 feet or more below the surface. It was concealed by a thick layer of frozen solid dirt that was nearly as hard as rock. You see, the simple part is setting a large objective, like finding 5,000 ounces of gold. Finding it is the difficult part, particularly when it seems like nothing is going right. The Dominion Creek mine felt like it had bad luck from the first day they dug. Gold Run was an extremely wealthy watercourse, and I suppose it was just here in this place where it poured into Dominion. I believe that the tailings will contain a significant amount of gold. Since there isn't any stripping, it's fantastic if there is. We need to get some money trickling in now that they have thawed. The terrible sound of screeching and cracking metal would frequently interrupt the loud roar of the enormous yellow bulldozers and excavators. Almost every day a machine would break down. An excavator's bucket's teeth would eventually break off completely. One day, a hydraulic hose would burst, stopping the machine in its tracks and spreading hot, sticky oil everywhere. It may seem easy, but believe me, it takes a lot of work to keep these enormous equipment operating in the muddy, rainy, and frigid Klondike. The entire operation had to halt each time a machine malfunctioned. Additionally, the staff wasn't washing any dirt when the machines weren't operating, so they weren't discovering any gold. In other words, they were losing a significant amount of money every single minute of the day. Before we ever get a single ounce of gold out of here, a lot of money. Yes, dude. Well, the pressure he's under is beyond my comprehension. You know, after having all that money in the bank, we'll have a large debt the next day, and it will be a long time before we can find any gold to assist pay it off. The crew's ability to manage such a high level of tension and anxiety is what actually raises many questions. Knowing that time was running out and winter was approaching, they had to work as quickly as possible to resolve every issue. The crew's emotions fluctuated like a roller coaster. They might discover a stunning gold pile after a fantastic cleanup in a week. Everyone would be laughing, smiling, and optimistic about the future on those days. However, they may discover very little the following week, just a few tiny flakes. Everyone was quiet and anxious during those difficult days, and they began to question whether they were really digging in the appropriate place. The real experience of being a gold miner is this never-ending struggle between hope and anxiety. Parker's large, costly idea was put to the ultimate test to see if it would become a $15 million nightmare or a source of wealth. Parker was aware that he couldn't simply order his workers to work more quickly in order to overcome a task as difficult and significant as Dominion Creek. He had to work more efficiently. He required an improved and new instrument. For many years he had relied on his ancient wash plant, which the workers dubbed Big Red. This isn't good. What was going on? This is where the real Big Red side tension bar is lying. A wash plant functions similarly to an enormous washing machine for dirt. It is a massive metal structure that removes all the pebbles, mud, and sand with water and shaking screens, leaving just the small, heavy chunks of shining gold. Although Big Red was a good machine, Parker was aware that it was too small and slow for the massive task at Dominion Creek. He required something considerably larger. His quest to find the ideal machine began with this. This portion is rarely discussed, but his quest for novel concepts brought him to New Zealand, which is located all over the world. He went there to learn about new types of machines and to observe how other people mined for gold. He saw a variety of incredible technologies and spoke with seasoned miners who had been in the business their entire lives. One machine he saw was really amazing. The enormous device that stood atop a large pond and sucked out dirt from its bottom, was called a floating wash plant. It was one of the best machines anyone had ever seen, and it had the appearance of something from a science fiction film. The weird part comes next. This floating contraption was fantastic, but it was totally inappropriate for Parker. Instead of a serene pond, the Klondike's terrain is hilly, rugged, and rocky. There, the machine simply would not operate. Parker wasn't depressed and gave up like someone else could have been. He had a fresh, even more ambitious notion. Parker's decision to not purchase a machine from another party was unexpected. He was planning to construct his own. This was the beginning of a massive undertaking that required 2 years of intense labor. He began working on his ideal machine, which he called Roxanne. Unlike any machine he had ever employed, he wanted Roxanne to be larger, stronger, and far more adept at gathering gold. Okay, we are going to the cut with our brand new wash plate. I appreciate you finishing this. The setup is good. The plant appeals to me. I like it so far, but I know there will always be a few kinks to iron out. Although it's washing rocks, she will want some fine-tuning. For months, the team welded enormous steel parts together, painted them a vivid blue, and assembled everything like a massive, intricate puzzle. It was an additional large wager on top of the initial wager. This new superhero machine was supposed to be the secret weapon that would eventually reveal all of the gold that was hidden at Dominion Creek. The startling reality of the first season of Roxanne. Everyone on the crew was thrilled when Roxanne was eventually constructed and operational. With its enormous blue superhero appearance, it appeared prepared for its first day of work, and it was a huge success on its initial run. It immediately discovered more than 56 ounces of gold. But then the issue began, like it had with the other devices. The entire machine stopped working when a tiny wire fell loose. A large water hose then burst, spouting cold water all over the place. Learning that even a brand new, pricey equipment isn't magic was a difficult lesson. To keep things going, a lot of effort and a little bit of luck are still required. There was a significant question for the staff now. Would their season be saved by the incredible contraption known as Roxanne? Or was it just another significant and costly issue to resolve? The lengthy mining season continued, and everyone was beginning to feel worn out and exhausted from the hard work. The large gold pile they had been dreaming of wasn't expanding quickly enough, despite the crew's efforts from early in the morning until late at night. The lofty target of 5,000 still felt so far off. They needed luck. They required some indication from the ground that their efforts had been worthwhile. And the ground delivered them a beautiful, dazzling surprise just when it mattered most. Just when everyone was beginning to lose hope, they discovered something incredible. It wasn't a lot of gold, but it was something far rarer and cooler. A stunning nugget of gold weighing 41.8 ounces was discovered by the crew. However, that isn't even the most outrageous thing. The form of this nugget was really unique. It didn't appear to be a spherical, smooth rock. It was dendritic in shape, meaning it resembled a lightning bolt frozen in pure shining gold, or a tiny, beautiful tree branch. The group chose to call it the electrifying nugget right away, because of its interesting shape. The welcome stranger nugget was discovered here, I guess. That was the world's largest nugget, I guess. It was quite large thus. Horrible. Holy. Quite remarkable, isn't it? Whoa. Would you be able to locate that? Since Victoria is known for its huge gold, it is clear that this area has been pounded lately. Additionally, because of its unusual shape, it was highly valued by collectors of rare items, who would pay far more for it than for other gold nuggets of the same weight. This amazing discovery was a gift from the planet. It was the sign they had been waiting for, and it brought joy and excitement back to everyone. They discovered something else just as they believed the thrilling nugget would be the year's greatest discovery. It initially appeared to be a major issue. The pay dirt, the layer of dirt that contained all the gold, had a huge boulder lodged in it. It was so large that it was interfering with their work and halting the entire process. However, upon closer inspection, they noticed a remarkable gleaming on the surface of the enormous rock. It was worth gold. The rock was filled with thick veins of gold. This was more than just a roadblock. The treasure trove was enormous. It gets really dirty here. In order to avoid damaging whatever was inside, the group carefully broke the enormous boulder open. Everyone gasped at what they saw as it cracked open. One enormous nugget of pure gold was concealed in the center of the rock. It was a monster. It was 100 in weight. Cheers and excitement broke out throughout the entire camp. Miners dream about this type of discovery throughout their life. The enormous prize they had been battling for all season was a single piece of gold, valued at over $200,000. And this was the turning point, at least for a little while. It can be challenging to navigate the Klondike. It can teach you a difficult lesson 1 minute and then give you a great treasure the next. The ultimate total for the season was 707,381. Claps, that's unbelievable. Puts us in a great position for the upcoming years. Because it was a single, exquisite piece, the enormous nugget was extremely unique. However, the nugget itself split and broke into several enormous bits as they ripped it out of the rock. Everyone's joy abruptly gave way to a hint of melancholy. The nugget was no longer a single gigantic, incredibly rare collector's item, but it was still worth a lot of money because it was still 100 ounces of pure gold. It has lost its unique added value. Most people would abandon up at this point, since they were depressed by their bad luck. However, it was simply another lesson in the hard school of gold mining for Parker and his team. Even though the treasure was damaged, it still contained a significant quantity of gold that helped them get closer to their objective. More significantly, it provided the necessary evidence that they were in the correct location, and inspired them to put in much more effort to uncover any other mysteries the ground might be concealing. Every television program has secrets, and Gold Rush, being so large and well-known, has more than its fair share. Fans who watch every minute of the show have a ton of questions and suggestions for every ounce of gold that is weighed on television. They discuss what could occur if the cameras are not in use. We refer to these concepts as fan theories. They also discuss the major issues or scandals that the miners have faced in real life over the years. They attempted to conceal the Gold Rush scandals. The drama of the show is one of the most frequently asked questions by viewers. They question whether the show intentionally makes things more thrilling, or if everything we see is real. According to this notion, some of the show's most dramatic scenes may have been staged to resemble a film. Supporters who share this viewpoint have observed that major issues frequently arise during the most thrilling moments. For instance, a crucial machine may malfunction right before a significant snowstorm. Alternatively, two buddies may argue violently just before they are going to discover how much gold they have discovered. Is this only unlucky? Do the creators of the show occasionally facilitate these issues in order to heighten the tension and keep viewers interested? Some admirers are whispering about an even more outrageous hypothesis. We refer to this concept as salting the pan. It's an old miner way to salt a pan. It would imply adding a small amount of gold covertly to an item before it is weighed. Perhaps someone from the program would covertly add a little gold to their pan if a crew is having a terrible year and not finding any gold. This would ensure that the crew's story had a happy ending. It's a startling notion, and it's crucial to understand that there is no evidence that this has ever occurred. I'll cover the entire cost of the medicine if you give me first dibs, and someone else agrees to a bargain. All right, as long as you're moving quickly, you're weak. The theory demonstrates how much people care about the show being real, but most fans don't believe it, since if it were true, it would ruin the show. The money is a more plausible fan theory. The show occasionally fails to provide an explanation for Parker's $15 million expenditures. Fans are left wondering, who is actually footing the bill? According to the hidden money theory, miners receive financial support from covert partners. We never see these partners on television, but they would be wealthy business people. Millions of money are given to the miners so they can purchase equipment and land. The secret partners receive a sizable portion of the profits when the miners discover gold in exchange. This would make it easier to understand how the miners are able to afford to take such significant risks year after year. It's not all theories, though. Fans of the show have been horrified by some very genuine issues and scandals that have occurred over the years. The Hoffman crew's trip to Guyana, a South American nation, was the show's biggest disaster yet. They're all displaying gold, whether they're down or virgin. The best pans in this valley, Todd, out of all the pans I've had in this country. Fantastic. Let's arrange it. Oh, Todd Hoffman, the first major character on the show, dreamed of discovering a gold-rich jungle. However, it became a complete catastrophe. The crew was unprepared, and the forest was too hot and dirty. They discovered nearly no gold at all, and their machinery became stuck. They arrived home with only approximately 2 ounces of gold after spending all of their money. In addition to being a major subject on the show, it was a very sad and challenging moment for them. The Huffman crew has been searching for gold in South America for 6 weeks. They will be forced to go back to the Klondike, where dirt costs $10 per yard, if this final test is unsuccessful. When the show was barely getting started, there was another major scandal. Jimmy Dorsey, a kid, deserted the Hoffman team and subsequently claimed that the show wasn't entirely authentic. He claimed that, much like an actor in a film, the show's creators instructed him on what to say and how to behave. Many fans questioned whether this was genuine or only for TV, as it was one of the first times someone from the program had stated something like this. In a similar vein, actual legal issues brought to light the potential for division among the miners. Long after they collaborated, a significant dispute broke out between former business partners. Todd Hoffman and Dave Turin kept their ass safe for a short while. Dave, feel free to run that over there. Okay, I'm leaving now. Please, Trey. Coward. Due to financial disagreements, Turin sued Hoffman and his business. This legal dispute was an obvious indication to viewers, who had followed their relationship for years, that the demands of the gold mining industry went much beyond what was depicted on film. The miners' private life have also turned into contentious issues. Rumors started when Ashley Uhl, Parker Schnabel's girlfriend, who had been on the show working with him, left. Both parties have refuted the frequent and unflattering myth that she stole gold from him in order to end their relationship. The extent to which this story spread demonstrated how many viewers had lost the distinction between the cast's real life and the plot of the show. Concerns have also been raised over the miners' commercial activities. When it was found that the Dakota lads, Fred and Dustin Hurt, lacked the legal authority to mine Cahoon Creek, their main site, they suffered a serious blow. Following a disagreement with the claim owners, they were compelled to leave the website, abruptly ending a significant plot point and leaving viewers perplexed as to how such a crucial error could occur. Gold isn't always the main issue. Sometimes, people are. Chris Dumit, one of Parker's closest friends and a 10-year employee, abruptly resigned, shocking everyone. One of Parker's primary rivals, Rick Ness, hired him after he quit Parker's group. It seemed like a huge betrayal to the fans who were watching at home. Additionally, it demonstrated how friendships may be strained by the demands of the show. Even the tough kid known as the Viking, Tony Beats, had serious legal issues. He wanted to do something that would appear good on television in one of the episodes. I'm crossing my fingers. I'd better hope it works. There you have it. Did I not tell you folks to come hell on high water? I enjoy it. He had one of the crew members fill a pond with gasoline and light the water on fire. The administration was not pleased with it, even though it created a huge fireball and appeared highly dramatic on the presentation. Water pollution is prohibited by law. Tony Beats was in serious trouble and had to pay hefty fines because the entire incident was captured on camera. Did someone actually salt the pan to save the season? After everything, the enormous nugget, the damaged machinery, and the crazy fan theories? Tell us. Now subscribe and like this video.